8 decades since its founding with the theme Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights. High-Level Week begins with leaders, heads of state and government set to reflect on the United Nations' past achievements and map a path forward on critical issues. The general debate kicks off Tuesday, September 23rd, running through September 29th. Key concerns on the agenda include worsening humanitarian crisis in Gaza, the ongoing war in Ukraine, climate action, gender equality, and questions over multilateral reform. Leaders from all around the world are expected also to address concerns about funding, institutional capacity, and global cooperation at a time of mounting global instability. Now, for this discussion, we are joined by Raymond Vickery. He's a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce, joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Raymond. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, how might this year's UN General Assembly address growing calls for multilateral reform to better respond to global crises like the wars in Gaza and Ukraine?
Indeed, an important meeting of the 80th anniversary, which comes on the heels of the worst violation of the UN Charter against invasion and taking over by force neighbors that has occurred in the 80-year history. And I, of course, refer to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Unfortunately, what has happened is that at a time when the United Nations could be a great instrument for waging peace and prosperity, the Trump administration is basically withdrawing from the United Nations work. It's already withdrawn from the WTO, from UNESCO, from the Human Rights Organization of the UN, and has cut funding across the board for the Food and Agricultural Organization, the relief of refugees, and basically has downgraded any approach to international multi-level action on peace and prosperity. And what is happening, of course, is that authoritarian governments like China are moving in to take advantage of this Trump administration withdrawal and to try to control the agenda and what happens from here on. You throw into the mix the Trump administration clamped down on visas for such representatives as those from the Palestine organizations. You have the clash over whether to recognize Palestine as a state. And it is both a landmark and a very disconcerting session of the General Assembly at this time.
And what do you think, Raymond, in what ways can world leaders use the 80th UNGA session to strengthen international cooperation on urgent issues, but knowing, and you've also mentioned that U.S. is maybe not actively pursuing it, nor Israel is present in this. Israel and U.S. is boycotting the, not UNGA, but Gaza and Palestinian issue two-state solution that is hosted by Saudi Arabia and France.
Well, first of all, the opportunity for UN reform, as you indicated in a previous question, should not be passed up. Nations such as India, who were not world powers at that time, the global South needs to have more representation, particularly in regard to the Security Council. And then a way has to be found around this absolute veto situation which we have now in the Security Council. This basically has hamstrung the United Nations from taking effective action in regard to such conflicts as that in Gaza, in Ukraine, and across the board. So yes, there's an opportunity here for reform and broadening, but at the same time, without the United States stepping forward as a leader of the free world contingent and providing funding, it is very, very difficult to see how the United Nations becomes anything more than a forum for the putting forward of authoritarian views such as those from China. So it is a difficult time. There is an apparatus, there is a way forward, but unless there is some change in regard to leadership, in regard to how the United Nations can move forward, it is going to continue to fade in significance for building world peace and prosperity.
Right. With that, thank you very much, Raymond, for always joining us and sharing.